Welcome to the Dale Sabor a Tu Salud podcast by Tadine. I am your host, Chef Carla Contreras. Join me as we steep in the world of Tadine with interviews from fellow creatives, foodies, and entrepreneurs from our comunidad. Jessica, welcome to the podcast. Can you tell us who you are and how you serve your community?
Thank you for having me, Carla. This is Jessica Resendiz. How do I serve my community? For me, it's so important to build connection with my audience, with my community, foremost the younger generation that is looking for inspiration and who is seeking motivation. And that's whether if I post a motivational quote or maybe something that I repurpose and redesign and bring nostalgia to their space. For me, it's just so important to connect with them and to make sure that they're being seen.
Jessica, before we get into learning about your business and how you create, can we talk about what's in your taza? What was your last studying tea?
So I'm currently having in my tacita the lavender chamomile.
I love that tea. It's a new one.
It's the aroma, the scent, the way it makes you feel so like zen and like refresh, and the smell of the lavender. It's like a great combination. So that's my top favorite.
Amazing. And do you put anything in it or are you drinking it straight up?
I do. I actually put on raw honey just to give it a little bit of like, I don't know, like a little bit of hint of not even sweetness, but I guess that honey taste. It's just perfect.
Beautiful. Tadine is rooted in wellness. Can you tell us about how wellness plays a role in your business and your life?
Wellness is definitely a huge role in my business and in my personal life. I think for me, for the last, I want to say almost 4 years, it's been very, very sacred to me. Wellness is like a ritual that I have to, not that I have to, but I feel like it's so important for not only for myself, but to also, bring awareness that wellness is so, so, so important, not only for your body, mind, and soul, but for your surroundings. I think that when you incorporate that into your daily routine, it really brings awareness that, you kind of bring awareness of like, yeah, she's working, let's say, for example, an 8 to 5 or doing multiple projects, but she's also taking the time to create space for her, her mental health, her wellness. And so that has become a huge part in not only my personal life, but also in my business.
Amazing. And I've heard this on another podcast, so I'm going to bring this in about not waiting to retire and also your love of acupuncture. Can you tell us a little bit about both of those?
Sure. Not waiting till you're retired. So, I was born in Mexico and I was raised very young at 9 months in San Diego. So that was like my childhood place, my hometown where I grew up. And so my parents, both, very traditional Mexican parents, always taught me that I needed to work hard so that we could have, things in our life, important things. And I would always hear them say, we got to save up for our retirement. And I totally respect that. And I think that's super important. But one thing that really struck to me is that they would always say, we'll go on vacation when we're older, or when we don't no longer work, or we'll do certain things. And that really stuck with me growing up, and just really thinking, I don't want to wait till I'm older, or, certain things in life. Obviously you have to save up money, or save the space, or, certain things, obviously life. But, I don't want to wait till I retired. I don't want to wait till I'm older. I don't want to wait till maybe someday. I don't want to think that there's going to be, not to be negative, but just more of like, I don't want to wait till last minute, or maybe I won't even get to that point. And so for me, it's important to remind myself that I'm also working hard, but I'm also taking care of my priorities, whether that's myself, my family, my business. And it's okay to have a little bit of fun once a month, or maybe however you allow that, or however you want to put that. Maybe in 3 months I'll go on vacation. Maybe in 3 months I'm going to do something I've never done in my life. So for me, it's just really important to do things that make you so happy and find that time to make it happen.
And how did acupuncture come into your life?
So acupuncture came into my life while doing a lot of research, and this was, I want to say, a little bit before COVID. I started experiencing a lot of anxiety, a lot of tension in my arms, my neck, a lot of headaches that related with the tension and back problems. And I knew that it really came from stress and overworking myself and doing so much that I never really paid attention to my body. I was always like, oh, I'm young. It's just, I'll go away. I'll take care of it later. And so during that time, I started thinking, well, I'm only getting older and my body's not getting any younger. So I really have to stop and pay attention and listen to my body and see what it needs, whether it's food, nourishing with, water and teas, and making sure that I'm still treating myself to having a nice burger, right, with french fries, but making sure that I'm consuming more vegetables and fruits and doing things that are better for my body. And so I started doing research on that part, but then I started doing more research about, well, why are my nerves hurting? I know I'm stressed. Am I over stressing? Am I overthinking? Am I over saying yes to all these projects? And then a lot had to do with stress, with the unknown too. I'm a small business owner. I didn't know what was going to happen during COVID. A lot of us never been through all this commotion of the unknown, and how are we going to survive? So I think a lot out of that had to do with stress. And then found out that acupuncture helped a lot with migraines, because I experienced a lot of aura migraines. And I keep a journal where I note down when these migraines happen. Am I stressed? Have I not ate? Have I been consuming a lot of sweets? Have I been overwhelmed? And so I write these down. And so when I started doing acupuncture, I read the benefits of it. It could help you. It has a lot of benefits, but for me, the main thing was my anxiety and my migraines. So once I started doing the acupuncture, twice a week. And this was something, again, where I can't wait till it gets worse. I cannot wait till I get older. At the time, thankfully, even with the unknown of COVID and not knowing what businesses were going to be like, it was, for a lot of small businesses, was like the biggest peak of all of us. We were making a lot of money. We were selling like crazy because people were shopping online. That was the only thing you could do. You couldn't go out. So shopping online was their thing. And so I started thinking, okay, I'm getting this much income, I'm putting aside for my wellness. I'm going to use this money to go treat myself and try to figure out what's going on with my anxiety and my migraine. After doing the research, I found a great doctor. My parents never taught me about acupuncture, I never really heard of it. So for me to be able to experience that in person and to go through all these emotions while going to acupuncture, it was, for me, life changing. I had to start from a lot of sessions in the beginning, and then after I felt like some change and I felt like I was feeling a little more like myself, I started switching it to every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks, and then once a month, and then just kind of escalated to like shorter amounts of sessions. And at least for me, it was very life changing. I went through a lot of emotions. I really needed that. I really needed acupuncture.
That's beautiful. I want to ask you a question about the family connection to tea eating and to tea drinking in your family, because I know that there's a history there, and I want to highlight, because you said like drinking teas and nourishing yourself, like these are all part of the process of taking care of yourself.
Right. So Tadin just really comes from childhood. I remember my mom, she's very into her wellness. Something about my mom that I really love and admire is that she's always been into drink your teas, drink your smoothies, eat well, rest. And growing up, you're a kid, you don't think about wellness. You just want to go out and play and explore the world. So my mom would always drink tadine. And I remember going to the Mexican markets and her getting her little box and drinking her tea. And that was the start of me. Oh, okay, my mom's at, for me at the time I thought it was medicine. So I'm thinking she's probably just drinking medicine. But then I remembered, and I still, even when I go to her home, I see her cabinets, it's her tadin. So it's been more of like a childhood memory that's always been with us, even though when I ever didn't know what it was. So it's been with us for a while now.
Can you tell us about how you started your business? And I love this story and I want to share this with the community is how an estate sale inspired your love of fashion.
Yeah, this is every time I think about the moment that I discovered that I wanted to be someone with either in fashion or design, I really, really look back to and just really remember the moment that really opened, not really opened my eyes, but more of a realization of what I really want to do in my life when I grow up. I never really knew about fashion. My parents didn't teach me, or we weren't surrounded with fashionistas or any, for fashion forecasts. It was more of like a deep of like wanting to create all my state sale, my garage sale clothing into wearable pieces, into I guess my imagination. We didn't have a lot growing up, so whatever I could find, scraps and like raggedy threads, I will make it into my wearable pieces. And so again, I didn't know what fashion was. It was more of a necessity. But then, us going to state sales and garage sales really opened my eyes of other people, the way they lived, especially wealthy people. I would go to these mansions, state sales, and I remember vividly this home in San Diego that we went to. This person was either a creative person or a stay home mom that did a lot of crafty stuff, like Martha Stewart stuff. And I remember going into this room, and it was a craft room where she had wrapping papers, ribbons, stickers, glitter, like anything you can imagine. For me, it was like, wow, this is unbelievable. I've never seen anything like this. And in the corner of that studio or office, there was this box full of magazines. And, me being in awe of everything that I saw, something took me to that corner of that box. And I started looking at these magazines, colorful, vibrant covers, and I started flipping pages. And again, I've never seen a magazine. So I'm flipping pages. This is like 9, 10 years old. And I flip pages and I see these models wearing these extravagant gowns and avant-garde pieces, and I was just really struck and mesmerized. And I started thinking, wow, there's actually people that make clothes like this, like unbelievable. And that really like opened my, I guess, my young heart of like, wow, I want to be able, maybe not exactly the same, but there's actually people doing stuff like this. And I start reading like the little letters, like, where is this coming from? I start flipping pages, the editor's info. And again, I don't know anything about brands. So I take most of the magazines and I tell my parents, like, I really want to get these magazines. I don't remember how much they were, but I got a few of them, went home, and I wish I could show a picture, but like I went home, started flipping pages and tearing up pieces of the magazine, cutting them up and making, at that time, again, we don't know about vision boards, but my young imagination, like, what if I cut everything up and I start like putting all my dreams in this wall and saying to myself, maybe one day I can make stuff like that. It's kind of emotional when I think about it because you're just a kid, you're dreaming, and like you have so much dreams and curiosities. But I went home and covered my whole wall of these like different things, like whether it were colors, textures, maybe even places that I wanted to be. And I made my own collage. And then from there on, I felt that I wanted to do something in fashion. I wanted to create clothes and I wanted to be in those spaces too, because I didn't grow up seeing people like that. I didn't grow up seeing people like my like Latinos or doing pieces like that. And I felt like I wanted to get into that space.
Beautiful. Can you tell us about how the name of your company came about?
The name of my company, Raggedy Tiff. So Raggedy Tiff is one word. Raggedy Tiff just really came with, again, growing up with whatever I had, all these, they weren't dirty or anything. They were just old secondhand threads, garage sales, state sales, Goodwill, Salvation Army, secondhand clothing that my cousins will give me. I would tear everything up and I will recreate those old raggedy threads into whatever at the time I felt like it was fashionable. And the Tiff word came, so that's my daughter's name. Her name is Tiffany, and I don't really remember why I wanted to do that, but I remember why the raggedy part came, and I remember why I wanted to incorporate my daughter into my business. We did this school project in college before I graduated fashion school. We had to do a portfolio, and we had to come up with a brand. We had to come up with our storefront and what is your brand name? And I started thinking and I started doing a lot of research, and something about me just said, okay, well, how can I mix my old, something old that I grew up with, and something that really means a lot to my life, obviously my daughter. And then I started thinking, well, why is like all these brand names are really funky name, like Rag and Bone, or like all these funky names like Page, who's Page that makes jeans, or Seven, or stuff like that. So then for me, it was just more like, I'm going to make it unique. I'm going to make it so people question and get curious. And I really just stood with that name. I was going to change it actually 3 years ago. And when I trademark, my attorney, we came to agreement that I, based on like all my history, she's like, you know what, I'm happy you made the choice to keep it because it's really unique, it's really funky, and it's perfect. So it's Raggedy Tiff.
And I also want to highlight, and we'll put this in the show notes of this podcast. You have such a special piece that's on your website. It's a love letter to your higher self. Again, you can see this and read this on the website, and you can get this in the show notes. I'm going to invite all of you to take a deep breath before you listen to this. Allow yourself to be kind and loving as much as you can, to have grace at your small/big accomplishments. Give yourself permission to prioritize your body, mind, and soul. Always fill your cup before you pour into others. Don't apologize for doing what you love, especially what brings you peace and pure happiness. Remember to keep making your little inner Nina girl proud. Protect your sacred space and be around people that motivate, inspire, and celebrate you. And don't forget, self love is the best love. Thank you for sharing this with us and for giving this space on your website. I'm excited to hear about 2024 and beyond.
Wow. I have two big projects. One actually launching at the end of August, which I'm really, really excited. It has to do with music, música regional. So excited for this project, and I will share more on my social medias. But another one that we've been working for over a year is a Dia de los Muertos collaboration with not only IPSI America, but IPSI Mexico, which would be my first international collaboration in Mexico that's coming this fall for Dia de los Muertos. It's a beautiful bag that I designed for their makeup collection drop that they're doing. And so I'm really excited for a community to see it and embrace it and really be part of it. But I'm also just really excited to take everybody with me, meaning like social media, follow me on when I post on stories, but to see what it is, me being born and raised in Mexico and going back after so many years that I haven't been to and collaborating with Ipsy Mexico is going to be a really beautiful chapter to witness, not only for myself, but for a lot of people that have been following me and taking them into behind the scenes of what we're doing. Can't say too much of what we're doing, but it's going to be a huge campaign that's associated with the drop of Dia de los Muertos for Ipsy. And I just want them to be able to kind of be there, like even though they're not physically there, but like be there, because this really is in reality for them, for a lot of them have been following my work. So I'm excited for that. That's launching this fall, October, late October. And just more of being a brand ambassador and designing for the LA Clippers, a lot that has to do with the youth basketball. It's on top of my head. I can't recall, but it's a young basketball organization that the Clippers has. It's a free program for girls that are in love with basketball and that want to learn more about the sport. Just finished designing a jersey shirt for them to wear. And again, I'll share more in details when that happens, but this is for the LA community that is in the LA Clippers program. And I haven't announced it yet, but for the last couple of years, I really been, I'm so passionate about teaching youth my struggles, my success, my a little bit of everything that comes in between when owning a business or being a creator. And so, my passion really, really, really is teaching the younger generation the power of creating and to go out there in the world to do what they've been wanting to do for so long, and encouraging them and inspiring them that anything really is possible, whether whether you're kind of unsure yet or you've been dreaming this since you were a little kid. I think there's huge space for them to grow, and for me it's like it's just I rely on them. They're the next big thing. They're our future. And so for me it's so important to teach what really brought me into where I'm at in life. And great opportunity came where starting this fall in September I'll be teaching high school students to create and be a art design instructor for them and show them the paths, and not really so much the secrets, but show them the paths and what they're capable of learning and accomplishing when taking my class. And I'm so excited to teach these high school students, because little self of me growing up, I wish I had this. We didn't have so much in my high school. I wish they did.
I can't wait to hear about it. Jessica, can you tell us how we can find you and support your business?
Sure, you could find me on all my social medias on RaggedyTiff, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and my website, RaggedyTiff.com.
Gracias. Thank you so much for steeping in the world of Tadine. I am your host, Chef Carla Contreras. You can find Tadine at Tadine Teas on Instagram, and more information in the show notes. If you're on iTunes or Spotify, please leave us a review. Adios.